So, how been ya? Welcome to the Black Country Craftsman's YouTube channel. Today, I will be showing you how to install a laminate floor. To complete this task, you will need the following: a laminate floor of your choice, laminate floor underlay, a pencil, set square, hammer, a pull bar, a multi-tool, a chisel, nail gun, Mitre-Mate glue, duct tape, steel rule, a panel saw, a jigsaw, a coping saw and a chop saw. Okay, we have a basic room with a door entrance and a double door wardrobe with a wooden threshold strip. This is a roll of underlay. It's not particularly that thick, as it's quite a thick laminate flooring that we're laying on wooden planked floors. Starting in the one corner, lay the underlay in strips. Using duct tape, tape up all the joints together. Starting in the far corner, place a section of the floor and put it next to the architrave. Mark the bottom of the architrave as this section is showing. Using a multi-tool, cut the section of architrave to the mark. Then, using a chisel, carefully remove the section that has been cut. As you can see, by removing this small section, the laminate floor fits nicely under the architrave, but it's not quite good enough yet. Using a steel ruler, mark out how much needs to be removed from the first section to fit it perfectly. Now it's cut, slide the floor into position. As you can see, there is a 10mm gap running along the skirting board. This is to allow for any movement in the floor. By fitting the laminate floor too close to the skirting, you will end up with the skirting board looking something like this. Okay, I've done a little bit of a diagram to explain actually what happens when a laminate floor is fitted too close to the skirting board. As you can see by my drawing, this is a typical house type where you've got the outside brick, you've got some plasterboard that's dabbed to the wall, which is basically they glue it to the wall. The skirting board is then fitted, but they always cut the plasterboard off around 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the bottom, to allow for any water or spillages so damp doesn't rise through the plasterboard. What happens is when you fit the laminate floor too close to the skirting board, when you're standing on it and there's a little bit of movement, the movement pushes the skirting board at the bottom and angles the skirting board, which creates the top, creates a gap at the top. Now, when you try to, if you're in this circumstance, if you ever try to push that skirting board back, it's nigh on impossible to do, which means you have to get your laminate flooring up to rectify the problem. Having fitted the first piece in, carefully join the head of the floor by placing it on an angle and lowering it to the floor. When it comes to the end of the run, simply place the end that is connecting to the laminate floor up against the skirting, then mark. Don't forget to leave a 10mm gap in between the laminate floor and the skirting. Using a set square, mark a line on the laminate floor to be cut. When cut, same again, fit the section on an angle, then slowly lower to the floor. When you start the second run, use the piece of the floor that you have cut the smaller piece off to finish the first row. This piece is roughly 3/4 the size of a normal section. When fitting this section on the side, do the same as with the head. Fit it at a slight angle, then lower it to the floor. Continuing with the next section, again slightly angle, then lower. This time you need to connect the ends to the floor as well as the sides. On this type of floor, by tapping using the rubber side of your hammer, gently tap it in until it clicks into position. Now, this is a photo of a laminate floor tool called a pull bar. Now this tool is a must, and it enables you to tap the joints together if they are not fully connected without damaging any of the floor. By putting one edge on the far side and putting your weight on the second run, gently tap the joints together. Same as the first section, mark the end piece to be cut. When cut, again, side joint first, then lower into position. Then, tap the head joints together. Making sure using the pull bar to pull all joints together tight. First 2 rows complete. Okay, I just thought I'd just do us a little bit of a diagram as to where we are at this stage. Okay, now we've got 2 rows of laminate flooring laid. As I mentioned in the video earlier, there's a small offcut there that we've cut off a main piece. Now the offcut to that section there is perfect to start your second row. It's roughly around 3/4 of a length of a main piece, and it acts perfectly as a staggered joint, as you must stagger the joints to basically give the sections there maximum strength. 4 rows now complete. Do the same as you did on the first piece. Mark the architrave, cut it out, then fit the piece in. As you can see from the photo, the last piece just fits under the corner of the architrave. Okay, this is where we've got to. The last piece we fitted was this piece here that just fit just underneath the architrave. Continue with that run, completing that run, which leaves you a little bit there that fits underneath the last little piece of the architrave, and it needs to be cut at the angle there and complete down to this staggered joint there. I'll continue with the video explaining how to do this. Using a set square, place it in the position where you need to cut the floor, not forgetting to leave a 10mm gap, putting a little mark on the opposite piece. By placing a piece in position, use the mark to put a cutting mark on the section of flooring. Placing a set square 10mm away from the skirting, place the floor in position for you to then mark the top part of the floor. So here we have the marked piece ready to cut. When cut, there needs to be a small section removed to enable you to fit the floor underneath the architrave. This photo shows, using a steel ruler, how to mark this out. Small section removed and the floor fits great under the architrave. Around both architraves, we're looking good. Okay, the last couple of videos I've shown you how to mark out that section there. So basically, by putting, firstly, we put a piece along that side there. I'm using the set square with a 10mm gap there. We put a little mark on there. Then by putting the section down that way, and again set square, set 10mm away from the skirting, put a little mark there. So when the two lines come together, they're ready then to cut to fit nicely in that corner. So as I explained on the drawing, by placing a set square on the jointing section opposite, mark the edge so you can then mark the piece to be cut. As you can see, this piece is cut and ready to fit. Okay, now with that section fitted, continue the run to finish off that run there. The next couple of videos I'll show you me marking, see, following that line right the way across, just literally marking that piece there to fit in that section there. Okay, after cutting and fitting this piece, I continued to lay the floor up until we got then to the doorway. My next section of videos are going to be about how we fit these pieces around the doorway with the two architraves there and there. Okay, firstly, I've cut and fitted the aluminium zigzag door trim. Now, this trim enables you to fit your carpet on one side as we have here. This photo shows how the laminate floor fits underneath the trim. As I've removed it, I've marked the door frame where the door trim meets the floor. This is so I know that the floor has to go past this point so the floor fits under the trim. Measure 10mm past the mark, and this is the measurement you'll need to cut the next piece down to. Next, we need to slide a piece of card under the architrave if possible. If you can't, there are tools which you can buy to help you with this next phase. Mark around the frame and the architrave with a pencil. By cutting this out, you have created a template to transfer the cutting pattern to the piece you need to cut. As I mentioned earlier, there is a tool you can buy to help you with this. It's called a contour gauge profile tool. These are useful in this case and a number of other jobs, including marking out when tiling. Using your steel rule, mark out the edges of the door frame and architrave. Measure from the edge of the fitted piece to just under the zigzag bar and the face of the door frame. That will give you your overall width of the piece that needs to be fitted. Then, using the template, mark out the profile of the architrave ready to cut. As you can see, by marking all the edges of various points on the architrave. When you then place your template, you're then able to marry up that and mark it ready for cutting. When you cut this section here, which is the scribe section that fits around the architrave, when you're cutting it with a jigsaw and you cut it normally so it's square, when you fit that piece and you bring that piece down onto the architrave, with it being cut straight like that, it actually damages and scratches the architrave as you bring it down. So what you need to do is basically cut it at a right angle like that, so that part there is removed. So when that section is brought down, only that edge there meets the architrave, so it doesn't damage it. When cut, slot the piece in so it's tight to the architrave. Now that piece is fitted, you can then fit the zigzag trim by nailing it to the floor. Using a filler knife, put the carpet back under the trim. As you can see, we're all done laying the floor. Now we have to cover the 10mm gap around the edges. Now, this is a piece of Sakosha bead that covers the 10mm gap nicely. To cut the angles on the beading, I recommend using a chop saw similar to this. The first piece I've fitted square to the door frame, and I've cut a 45-degree section off the end to create an angled joint in the long section. Using a nail gun, pin the bead to the floor. Mark and cut the next section so you have a 45-degree angle cut in the corner, and a return 45-degree angle to complete the joint in the middle. Then nail in when cut. Complete until you come to the door opening. Mark where the architrave finishes, then make a 45-degree angle pointing inwards. Then glue a small piece out at the same angle to finish the run. All done. The floor is now complete. As we say in the Black Country, that's busting. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video, smash us a like, drop us a comment below and we'll do our best to reply. And please click on subscribe as I do plan to put more videos on in the future. I'm the Black Country Craftsman. Don't forget to tell your muckers. Learning how to fix these problems yourself is cheaper than paying someone else to do it for you. Thanks for watching.